Hey guys, welcome to 4th and 25. Can you believe it? It is game week. We have officially made it to game week. We got G6, or welcome to our G6 preview show. Today is all about the G6. Well, it was going to be. But, and then some crazy stuff, of course, has happened this week. But I'm just reading some shocking news. Hang on here just a second. Oh, man. Hang on, guys. We're gonna go to a break real quick. We got some news I'm trying to digest real quick. I'm gonna hit pause. I'm gonna play this for y'all. Be right back.
To hate Andrew Anderson spitting truth that just can't wait. Got a podcast like a punch right to your face. College sports villain taking it over the place. I bring the facts whether you like it or not. Dropping truth bombs, giving it all I got. They call me a villain. Well, I wear that badge with pride. Nothing but secrets they try to hide. Hard rock in my veins, rebellious to the core. I won't back down, won't take it anymore. The bad guy of the podcast world, that's me. Unleashing the truth, setting it all free. Unleashing the truth.
No.
Yeah, this year. Dolly. Oh, man, this year.
I looked up the dolly a lot. Come on, MB.
Damn, this year. Who else? Jeez.
Oh, why?
She
Come
must,
on, MB.
she must have been in bad health.
I wish she didn't get to make it to her news live.
Real good. I'm gonna be sure. I got that legitimate stock it when I seen that. And be chilling there.
One word.
Check. Make sure AirPods are good. Check, check, check. Yeah, we're good. Okay. All right, guys. I'm a little bit shocked. We just found out Dolly Parton passed away. Jeez, man.
And may God bless you all.
Dolly Parton has passed away. Man. Jeez. Okay, so we got to reset here with this news that just broke. Rest in peace, Dolly Parton. I'm in just a little shock. Yeah, I'm a little bit shocked. All right, guys, welcome into our G6 preview show. It is week 0 has finally arrived. The college football season is here. Bear with me while I share the show real quick. Dang, man. Sorry, the news of Dolly Parton passing away has kind of hit us here. Oh, man. Oh, man. I'm in shock. Hang on here. Y'all just kind of bear with me. me get the show shared. Sorry, y'all. We're trying to reset here because of the news that just broke about Dolly Parton passing away. Hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday. Hope you're staying safe out there. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Shared. All right, guys. I am so sorry for the delay. I'm sorry for the holds ups. All right, welcome in. So it is game week for the first time this year. Today is dedicated totally to the G6 conferences. Well, it was going to be just the G6 leagues, but we've had some transfer portal chaos this week and some other little news and notes. So let's get started. We'll start with our news and notes section. I'm just going to share a couple of things real quick. Okay, so out of Mizzou, star running back Ahmad Hardy, of course, will not play in the season opener. This is no surprise. Against Arkansas Pine Bluff, their opener, he will not be available as he still hasn't practiced in the offseason after being, his incident where he was shot in the upper leg back in May. This past Saturday, while recapping fall camp, Coach Elijah Drinkwitz announced the decision. They really don't have a timetable on that. It is up to his body in response. No, he's doing everything he can, and I feel like right now it's in his best interest to hold off. Yeah, didn't expect him to be playing in that game anyways. They won't need him against Pine Bluff. Now, maybe week 2 against Kansas. We'll see about that. Okay, next up. This one was a little just kind of out of the blue, but Texas dismisses linebacker Ty Anthony Smith for detrimental conduct. This was one of their starting linebackers too, guys. He had been dismissed from the program for conduct detrimental to the team. He appeared, of course, in all 12 last year. Made his first career start in the Citrus Bowl when they were playing Michigan, where he had 9 tackles and 2 interceptions. He finished last year with 60 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He was competing with a couple of transfers, but he missed last Saturday's scrimmage with the flu. He returned to practice, but on Friday, Texas spokesman announced he had been dismissed. It's an unfortunate situation for him individually, Sark says. Okay. So, yeah, big, tough loss there for Texas as they lose one of their starting linebackers. He's dismissed from the team. Don't know the full extent, but Texas is still loaded with talent, and they've got guys that are more than capable of the head linebacker. Okay, so Tommy Castellanos, former Florida State and Boston College QB, had got his 5th year of eligibility through kind of similar to the mess that's going on right now. They opened a portal for him, and he is expected to land at Texas Tech. That'll give Texas Tech a quarterback along with Will Redmond after the Brendan Sorsby fallout. Let's see. Tennessee names Faison Brandon their starting quarterback. I don't think this is a big surprise to anyone. It was announced on Monday the freshman will be the starter. 6'4" pocket passer from North Carolina, signed with them last December and spent the offseason competing with second-year QB George McIntyre for the job. He'll debut against Furman in their opener on September 5th. Other quarterbacks announcements this week. We have Arkansas announces KJ Jackson's going to start as their quarterback in their opener against North Alabama. Ryan Silverfield, the coach of Arkansas, excited about him and his role as QB1 with the future of our program. He's done an excellent job. So is A.J. Hill, all of our quarterbacks leading up to today. Some other ones. Oh, this is tough news out of Kansas State. Left tackle John Pastor out for the 2026 season with a leg injury. He suffered it in preseason camp this past week. This is a tough blow for Kansas State. This is one of their best linemen. He was a preseason All-Big 12 honoree, started all 12 games last year. 6'6", 302-pound tackle, All-Big 12 last year. Second-team coaches, and was entering his second year as a starter. Coach Colin Klein, incredibly unfortunate, very freak in nature and out of really anyone's control. As a fifth-year player, he would not be eligible to return next year. The NCAA eliminated medical hardship waivers as part of the eligibility reform that grants him 5 years of eligibility. But a big blow for Kansas State's offensive line entering the season. Don't know what their depth situation really is. But definitely going to be hard to replace an all Big 12 performer like that. Florida names their starting quarterback. Aaron Philo has officially been named the starter for their opener against FAU on September 5th. It is Aaron Philo, the Georgia Tech transfer. He comes in, of course, with the new OC, Buster Faulkner. They both come from Atlanta, from Georgia Tech. Summerall just said, we're preparing for him to be the starter for week 1 after this past Saturday's fall scrimmage. And then finally, I think this is from Alabama. Yeah, Alabama announces that Keelan Russell has won the quarterback battle. He will be the QB1 for their opener against East Carolina on September 5th. The former 5-star recruit competed with senior Austin Mack, who I believe came to Bama with Washington, from Washington with DeBoer. And Russell, number 2 overall recruit in the class of 2025, appeared in 2 games during his freshman year, throwing for 240 and 4 touchdowns. He threw for 240 and 4 scores in the spring game back in April. So Alabama, Florida, Arkansas, and Tennessee have announced their starting quarterbacks. All right, so let's get going with the main reason for this show. This is our first of 2 preview shows. Our other one, of course, will be Thursday. Today it's all about the G6. We are going to start Conference USA preview. So, Conference USA coming off a pretty solid year. Last year, Kennesaw State was the champions. They beat Jacksonville State in the championship game. Their coach, Jerry Mack, was the coach of the year. Conference player of the year, or MVP, if you will, of course, was Cam Cook, the Jacksonville State running back. He went on to transfer to West Virginia. But last year, 1659 and 6 touchdowns rushing. The league produced 7 bowl teams. Excuse me. They had a 4-3 bowl record. Kennesaw State, the champion, lost their Myrtle Beach Bowl. Jacksonville State, who went 9-5, they won the Salute to Veterans Bowl. Western Kentucky, another good program, went 9-4, won the New Orleans Bowl. FIU was 7-6, lost the First Responder Bowl. Missouri State, their first year in the league, they went 7-6, losing the Xbox Bowl. Louisiana Tech went 8-5, winning the Independence Bowl. And then finally Delaware winning the 68 Ventures Bowl in their first year in the league. So solid postseason for Conference USA last year. They'll look to build upon that this season. So non-conference games to keep an eye on. I made note of 5 of them. Now, these are not against Power 4. These are the more appealing matchups. Could go either way. Week 0, a game this Saturday, which we'll predict on Thursday's show. Jacksonville State at North Dakota State. Cannot wait. That should be good. September 5th, Liberty at JMU. That could be fun. September 12th, FIU hosts Buffalo. That's a neat, sneaky one. September 19th, Coastal Carolina at Delaware. Years past, that one may not have moved the needle, but Delaware is probably going to be the better team. And then I also made note of this one, September 26th, Kennesaw State at Arkansas State. Could be fun. So, and then in the conference race, here's some key conference games for you. Liberty at Delaware, that is a Friday night game, October 2nd. If Delaware wants to take the next step and be a conference contender in CUSA, this is a good opportunity. At home against Liberty? October 7th, Jacksonville State at Kennesaw State, rematch of the championship game. October 13th, FIU at Jacksonville State, could be a good one. October 21st, Liberty at Kennesaw State. Liberty has had recent struggles there. Let's see, November 14th, you got Jacksonville State at Western Kentucky. Preview of the championship game, potentially. Here's another one that could be a preview. Western Kentucky's at Liberty on the 21st of November. And then the final week of the season, I made note of this one, November 28th, Kennesaw State at Western Kentucky. Some players to watch. Quarterback Nick Minasusi, I guess, of Delaware. He had over 3,600 yards, 62.9 completion percentage. His touchdown pick ratio was 23-7. Really solid. He's back. Jacksonville State running back Caden Creek. He shared the load last year with Cam Cook. This year, he's the guy. He ran for over 1,000 yards last year, 5.9 to carry, 7 touchdowns. A receiver I made note of, Sean Wilson, also at Delaware. He caught 68 balls for 877 and 3 touchdowns, 12.9 a catch. On the defensive side, you've got Kenton Simmons, FIU D lineman, 24 tackles and 6 sacks last season. Baron Hobson, really good linebacker at Kennesaw State. He's back. 138 total tackles last year, 6 pass breakups, averaged 9.9 tackles per game. Definitely one of, if not the best linebacker in CUSA entering the season. And a couple of DBs, Caleb Nix of Jacksonville State. He had 63 tackles last year, 4 interceptions, 3 pass breakups. And also Bernak Ia of New Mexico State. Not going to get a lot of publicity, but 53 tackles last year, 3 pass breakups, 4 interceptions, 3 tackles for loss. Okay, so questions. So 3 questions or things that I'm curious to see about this league this year. Question number 1, is Liberty ready to return to the top of the league like they had been in the past? Last year, of course, 4-8 for Jamie Chadwell's bunch. It was a disaster. It was a rough year. They do have 4 starters back on the O-line, 3 solid transfers there, so O-line looks really good. They rebuilt the running back room through the transfer portal. Kanye Yado comes from Arizona State, where he had just a couple hundred yards. But before that, in 2024, when he was at Army, he had over 1,100 yards in an offense somewhat similar to a Service Academy's option at Liberty, but not in a way. It's an option with spread concept, so he fits in well with this offense. Now, behind Kanye Yado, through the portal, they brought him some good depth. They brought Peyton Jones from Duke, where he had over 400 yards the last 3 seasons, plus Cam Davis, who has 224 yards at Florida State the last couple of years. And then Wyoming transfer to Ron Kilman, who has 331 yards in his career with the Cowboys. So, really good depth, rebuilt running back room for Liberty, and we know they love to run the football, so this is a very positive sign. On their defensive side, they return guys with starts and experience the first 2 levels, like West Florida transfer D lineman Lorenzo Payne. He had 7.5 sacks last year. Linebacker Darrell Four, 71 tackles a year ago. One iffy concern with Liberty is the secondary. It's suspect. They have 7 transfers and not a lot of experience coming back in that position. And then they travel to James Madison. And then a couple of their biggest conference games, they have to go to Delaware and Kennesaw State while they host Western Kentucky. Question number 2. Is Kennesaw State built to repeat? It's going to be a very difficult task, but new quarterback, their top 4 receivers are gone, their top 9 rushers are gone. Defense is phenomenal, though. Linebacking core is back with experience across the linebacking room. They have experience returning at all 3 levels. And plus, they get Jacksonville State, Liberty, Delaware, and FIU all at home. That is very, very good positive for them. And they got to go to Western Kentucky. But 4 of your toughest 5 conference games are at home. That's always a blessing. And number 3, what does Delaware and Missouri State do for encores after really solid first years when they both went 7-6 and made bowl trips? So Delaware could be dangerous. They could be good. Quarterback, top 3 running backs, 3 starting offensive linemen, top receiver are all back. Plus 9 of their top 15 tacklers are back on defense. They host Liberty, FIU, and Jacksonville State. So could be a solid year again for Delaware. As far as Missouri State, though, little different scenario. They're in a rebuild mode. Big time rebuild. New head coach, Casey Woods. He comes from SMU, where he was offensive coordinator. They only have 2 starters back on offense, and plus 11 of their top 15 tacklers are gone. Okay. So, predictions. Player of the year. Who will be the Conference USA Player of the Year? I settled on, I'm going to trust this process. I'm going to go with Kanye Yado, the running back at Liberty. I think he's going to shine in this offense. He stays healthy, he could have 1,000+ yards rushing. So give me Yado of Liberty for Player of the Year. My dark horse sleeper team is Delaware. I just kind of broke it down for you. They have so much talent back. A QB, running back, lineman, receiver, and on defense. Very manageable schedule. That Liberty game October 2nd is going to be huge for them. They win that game, watch out. So Delaware's my dark horse in the conference. As far as who's winning the conference, I will go over these again at the end, but I'm going to tell you right now here, just because we're on CUSA, I like Western Kentucky to win Conference USA. I'm going to pick them to beat Liberty in the championship game. I'm going to trust Tyson Hilton, the most consistent coach who's been in CUSA for a while now. I do think Liberty's going to have a bounce back year, but I think Western Kentucky is going to win the conference. I like the experience, like their QB, Tisdale. I trust them to get the win. I'm going to trust them on this one. So give me Western Kentucky to win Conference USA. Okay, next up, let's do the Mid-American Conference. Okay, so let's look at the MAC. Really good year last year for Western Michigan. They beat Miami, Ohio in the MAC championship game. Their coach, Lance Taylor, was coach of the year. The player of the year was Western Michigan D lineman, I believe. I didn't even put his name down. Nadine Tucker, I believe. He had 14.5 sacks, 16 quarterback carries. Really good year for him. He's, of course, moved on. They had 5 teams go to bowl games with a 2-3 record. Western Michigan won the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Ohio won the Frisco Bowl. Miami, Ohio, of course, lost the Arizona Bowl. Toledo lost the Boca Raton Bowl. And Central Michigan lost the Game Above Sports Bowl. So, now, some players to watch returning to this league. There's a nice little hint of Western Michigan at the top. Quarterback Brock Lowry, he had over 1,800 yards passing, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 63.4 completion percentage, run for 963 and 14 touchdowns, 4.7 to carry. So he finished the year with over 2,700 yards of offense and 23 touchdowns. His running back, Jalen Buckley, who I'm very high on, had over 1,000 yards last year, just 1,003. 5.6 to carry, 9 touchdowns. Really good playmaker. Another running back in this league to watch is not going to get a lot of publicity because of the team he's on, but Jordan Gant. He's a running back at Akron. Keep an eye on him. He was a 1,000-yard rusher last year, 4.8 to carry, 6 touchdowns. Wide receiver Nick Devereaux of Eastern Michigan. This is another one to keep an eye on. 54 catches a year ago, 510 yards, 7 touchdowns, 15 yards a catch. Got a really good quarterback there with Noah Kim to get him the football. Linebacker Tyler Martin. He's out of UMass. Yes, I'm actually mentioning a UMass player. What is wrong with me? I'm just kidding. Had a really good year last year for the Minutemen. 104 tackles, 8.7 tackles a game, 3rd-team All-MAC selection. A couple more guys. Xavier Williams. He's with Sacramento State, who's moving into the MAC this year. Yes, 32 tackles, 6 sacks last year. And then DB JoJo Johnson of Bowling Green. I may know to him. 22 tackles, 13 pass breakups, a pick. Nice little DB for the Falcons. Okay, so some non-con games for the MAC that I made note of here on our MAC preview. September 5th, Central Michigan and New Mexico. New Mexico, of course, expected to be really good. Might be a good matchup. September 12th, Jacksonville State at Ohio. They played in a bowl game a couple years ago. It was pretty good. Can they do it again? We'll see. It should be fun. September 19th, there's actually 3 games on here. Bowling Green at Iowa State. It's very rare you see a G6 school beat a Power 4 school anymore. It's very, very rare with the way the sport's constructed now and the way things are. But if there was an opportunity for it to still happen, remember, Iowa State's got a new coach and pretty much a whole new team. So Bowling Green could capitalize. Also that day, Temple is at Toledo. I like that matchup. And then Miami, Ohio, of course, at Cincinnati, the annual rivalry game up there. And then September 26th, San Diego State at Toledo. Could be sneaky good. As far as the conference race goes, let's see, October 24th, Western Michigan is at Toledo. We've got Central Michigan and Eastern Michigan on November 4th. That game is actually played at Ford Field, the Detroit Lions Stadium. That'd be cool. That'd be weird, but cool. November 10th, Ohio at Miami, Ohio. Good one, possibly. November 20th, Bowling Green at Toledo. The Battle of I-75. Yeah, Bowling Green, Toledo. Fun rivalry. Nice little trophy. November 24th. Could this be your MAC championship preview 1 week early? Miami, Ohio at Western Michigan. Very possible. The very same day, Eastern Michigan's at Ohio. Could be a good game. Could be for third place. And then the last one I made note of is November 27th. I believe that is Black Friday. Toledo at Ohio. Okay. So, 3 questions I have for the MAC. Number 1. Obviously, let's start with the newbie. How does Sacramento State handle the cross-country trips? And how do they fare in year 1? They have 4 trips across pretty much 2 or 3 time zones. They will have 4 trips to the Central and Eastern time zone. Plus, they got the trip to Hawaii, but it's probably not as far from Sacramento to Hawaii. They have 5 starters back on defense, including their 3 linebackers. They have so many transfers, including 15 on their offense. Probably going to be a tough first year for the Hornets, but anything's possible. They can definitely compete with the bottom teams in the MAC. We'll see how they fare. Question number 2. Are Miami, Ohio, and Western Michigan in a league all their own in the MAC? Are they head and shoulders above the rest? You think about some of the other teams expected to compete. Toledo, new head coach, 2 starters back, several transfers. Shout out to a number 1 MAC portal class. So many transfers came from Mercer with Mike Jacobs to Toledo. Ohio, only 1 starter back on what's usually a potent offense. Eastern Michigan, 6 starters on defense, top 3 tacklers, solid O-line, quarterback, vet, receiver room. Can Eastern Michigan break through and compete for the top upper half of the league? They got a chance. Number 3, third question. How packed is Tier 2? Because I do think WMU and Miami, Ohio are in their own class right now. But how packed is Tier 2? Toledo, Ohio, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, all quality teams with talent but deficiencies. Okay, let's do our MAC predictions real quick. Player of the Year. I thought long and hard about this. I settled with the Western Michigan quarterback, Brock Lowry. I'm going to go with him. I think he's going to have more passing yards. I think he might even have more rushing yards. But I think he's going to have a really big year. I'm going to vote Brock Lowry as my MAC Player of the Year. Dark horse sleeper team, Eastern Michigan. Favorable schedule, some really good players on offense. I think I've actually got them 4th or 5th in my predictions. But I think this is going to be a solid year up at Ypsilanti, or however you call it, Michigan, for Chris Creighton and the Eagles. And then finally, the championship game. I am calling the rematch. Western Michigan versus Miami, Ohio. And I'm going to pick Western Michigan to win the MAC. So that's my MAC prediction. Okay, one more. Let's do another one before we take our first break. Let's look at our preview for, let's do the Sun Belt. Okay, so last year in the Sun Belt, a historic year for the conference, is they got their first ever college football playoff appearance with James Madison. James Madison won the East Division. They defeated Western Division champ Troy in the conference championship. They're the only conference left that still has divisions. Much respect. Coach of the Year was Bob Chesney at JMU. Of course, he's moved on to UCLA. Player of the Year was quarterback Alonzo Barnett III of JMU. He's moved on. He's at UCF. Their postseason record, they were 4-6 in the bowls in the CFP. Of course, JMU made the playoff. Got thumped by Oregon in the first round. Played competitive against Oregon to their credit, but some will say Oregon did not go full throttle second half of that game, and I can see that. But anyway, but still, they made the playoff, so that was cool for them. Let's see, Southern Miss lost the New Orleans Bowl. Texas State, which is now in the Pac-12, won the Armed Forces Bowl. Old Dominion won the Cure Bowl. Coastal Carolina lost the Independence Bowl. Appalachian State lost the Birmingham Bowl. Arkansas State won the Xbox Bowl. Georgia Southern won the Birmingham Bowl. Yes, you heard that right. There were 2 Sun Belt teams in a bowl game against each other because of the screwed up bowl system like it is now. Anyway, Arkansas State won the Xbox Bowl. Troy lost the Salute to Veterans Bowl. And UL Lafayette lost the 69 Ventures Bowl, totaling a postseason record of 4-6. Okay. Returning players to watch in this league. We've got Carlos Del Rio Wilson. He's the QB at Marshall. Threw for over 2,000 yards last year, 66.8 completion percentage, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. ran for 661 and 6 touchdowns. Really, excuse me, really good dual threat player. Over 2,600 yards of offense and 23 touchdowns. Chauncey Cobb, wide receiver at Arkansas State, really talented kid. 73 catches, 797 yards, basically 11 yards a catch. Only caught 1 touchdown, but the question for him, who's their quarterback? Who's going to throw him the football? Because their guy last year, Jalen Renor, he's moved on. He's at Iowa State. Devin Roche, running back at Old Dominion. He had 630 yards last year, 4 touchdowns, 5.7 a carry. On the defensive side, there's Colton Farnes of Appalachian State, really good linebacker I like a lot. 101 tackles a year ago, 7.8 tackles a game, 9 tackles for loss, 6 passes deflected, second team all-conference. MJ Stroud, defensive lineman at Georgia Southern. He was a first-team Sun Belt selection last year with 33 tackles, 9 of those for loss, and 6.5 sacks. Nice football player. And then finally, from the DB room, I put Brent Gordon of UL Lafayette. 62 tackles, led the conference with 11 pass breakups. Very impressive. All right, key non-con games to watch in the Sun Belt. September 5th, we kind of talked about this on the CUSA preview. We got Liberty at GMU. Cannot wait to see that game. And also that day, Arkansas State's at Memphis. Memphis is in a rebuild, new coach, but he did bring some good players. A couple weeks later, September 19th, James Madison at San Diego State. East Carolina at Old Dominion. And then Jacksonville State at Georgia Southern. A sneaky good game, potentially, depending on how things fare for both those teams. Georgia Southern, their quarterback is now Max Johnson. If you remember him, he was at LSU at one point. He was at Texas A&M. He's been in North Carolina. I don't think it was quite that order. But I know North Carolina was his most recent one before he was sadly hurt. September 26th, Troy at Utah State. Nobody's really going to talk about that game. Just sounds good. Might be good. Also that day, Kennesaw State at Arkansas State. And October 3rd, I made note of this one. Army at Louisiana Tech down in Ruston. Could be good. That might be physical. That might be an interesting game to keep an eye on. Okay, and then as far as the conference goes, here are some conference games to watch real quick. September 26th, this is going to be a big one in the East Division. JMU at ODU, James Madison at Old Dominion. Be interesting to see those two collide because that could be the 2 best teams in the East. October 3rd, I got 2 games here. Arkansas State at UL Lafayette. That'll be a good one in the West. Marshall at James Madison. October 17th, this might decide who wins the West. Troy is at UL Lafayette. October 22nd, James Madison is at Appalachian State. Don't expect App State to compete in the East, but this is a chance for them to spoil somebody's plans. Be careful, JMU. October 24th, Old Dominion at Louisiana Tech. The newbie hosting ODU. Could be 2 solid teams. October 29th, we got this is a Thursday night game, the conference title rematch from last year as Troy is at JMU. October 31st, Appalachian State at Georgia Southern. If you do not know, this is a great rivalry with a lot of history. It goes back to their days in the FCS. Also that day, Marshall is at Old Dominion. That could be a big one in the East. And then finally, November 19th, Arkansas State at Louisiana Tech. All right. 3 questions for the Sun Belt. Number 1. Will James Madison's dominance continue under Billy Napier? Billy had a great run, as you know, at UL Lafayette, winning championships and competing down there before he went to Florida and floundered. But he has just a handful of starters returning, a new staff, and they also have to go to Georgia Southern, Old Dominion, and Appalachian State. So repeating is going to be very difficult, but they definitely still have enough good pieces of talent to do it. Question number 2. Is this a underrated quarterback league entering the season? Because look at these quarterbacks. Carlos Del Rio Wilson, we just talked about him at Marshall. Max Johnson of Georgia Southern, established Power 4 starter at LSU, Texas A&M, and North Carolina, playing his last year in Statesboro. I like that for Clay Helton. Also, Cameron Brown. Nobody's talking about this kid. He didn't play the whole season He threw for 1296. His touchdown interception ratio was 13-1 last season at Georgia State. He doesn't get a lot of talk because Georgia State's a bad program and their football program's been terrible for a while. And then also Lunch Winfield of UL Lafayette. He threw 11 scores, run for 9 scores, 2,100 yards, 2,100 plus yards of offense. Nice dual threat for the Raging Cajuns. And then I also put Bruce Crowder of Troy, solid player too. So is this an underrated league as far as quarterbacks entering the season? Looks like it. All right, last question. Louisiana Tech is back with many of their old rivals. Super excited for them. I'm looking forward to seeing them in this season as they return to the Sun Belt with some of their rivals. How do they fare? They have 2 veteran quarterbacks, solid offensive line, stout front 7 on defense. They've got a really good D line. They have UL Lafayette, Old Dominion, and Arkansas State all coming to Ruston this year. So nice home field advantage. And it'll be really, really cool as they play ULM, UL Lafayette, and Southern Miss annually again, which means less travel, save you a little cash so you ain't got to travel as far for your fan bases. How will Louisiana Tech fare? I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be solid. I'm not picking them to win the West, but I do think they're going to be good. I would not rule out about an 8-4 season. Okay, predictions. Player of the year. Who am I going to go for player of the year with in the Sun Belt? Give me Carlos Del Rio Wilson, the quarterback of Marshall. With a full year under his belt, I think he's going to thrive. Dark horse sleeper team, just talked about them. Give me Louisiana Tech. 2 veteran quarterbacks, solid offensive line, stout defensive line, favorable schedule. I think Louisiana Tech's going to have a great first year in the Sun Belt. And then finally, who am I picking to win the championship? Give me James Madison out of the East, and give me UL Lafayette out of the West. I'm going to settle with that for your championship, and I'm picking UL Lafayette. Give me the Raging Cajuns to win the Sun Belt Championship this season. Okay, so we're halfway home on our G6 preview show. We've got 3 more to go. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll keep this thing going. We'll head to the Mountain West. See you guys in just a second. All right, guys, welcome back to 4th and 25 with J-Ram. See, we're still talking about the sad news about Dolly Parton. Damn, that's just crazy. Rest in peace, Dolly. All right, guys, welcome back to our G6 preview show. We're halfway home. We've got 3 more conferences to go. Let's go to the Mountain West. A lot of new this year in the Mountain West as they lost a lot of schools. They lost some heavy hitters. They're now a 10-team league. They lost Boise, Fresno, San Diego State, Utah State, and Colorado State. They all, of course, moved on to the reborn Pac-12. But the league did backfill somewhat as they brought in UTEP, Northern Illinois, and North Dakota State. That's the big one. That's the exciting one. But it is what it is. Okay, so let's quickly recap what they did last year, even though there's a lot of new. Boise beat UNLV in the championship game. Coach of the year, one of my favorite coaches, Jason Eck of New Mexico. I love this dude. I love how he carries himself. Every time I see him on an interview, I have to watch because he's so likable. Great coach, great developer. Done a great job in Albuquerque his first year with 9 wins. He was the coach of the year. Player of the year, don't know if they had an overall player of the year, but the offensive was Anthony Calandria, UNLV's quarterback. And on defense, it was Chris Johnson of San Diego State. But those guys have moved on. Okay, as far as the postseason, they sent 7 teams to bowl games. They went 2-5, so they had a tough bowl season.
Boise got thumped in the LA Bowl. UNLV lost the Frisco Bowl. New Mexico lost a heartbreaker in the Cactus Bowl. San Diego State lost the New Mexico Bowl. That game was crazy with North Texas. Yeah. Fresno State did win their bowl. They won the Arizona Bowl. Hawaii beat Cal in a very good Hawaii Bowl on Christmas Eve last year. And Utah State lost the Potato Bowl as they finished 2-5. Returning players to watch in this league. You've got, oh, wait, I'm sorry. Am I in the right order? Okay. Returning players to watch in the Mountain West this year. Michael Alejado, Hawaii's quarterback. He threw for over 3,100 yards, 66.3 completion percentage. His touchdown INT ratio was 24-9. Wide receiver Pavel Ashlock of Hawaii. I think he's still battling an injury, but I'm not sure. He's on the list. 76 catches last year, 827, 10.9 a catch, 8 touchdowns. Running back Jaden Thomas of UNLV. He ran for 985 and 12 touchdowns last year. Really good player for the Running Rebels. 7.2 yards per carry. Also, Liam Cesarka, quarterback at Air Force. He ran for 922 and 13 touchdowns last year, while also passing for 1294 with a 9-5 touchdown pick ratio. 22 total touchdowns. On the defensive side, a guy you're not going to hear a lot about because the team he's on, but Dylan LaBarbera, D lineman in Nevada. He had a really good year last year with 17 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks. The best defensive player in this league is back, linebacker Jackson Eck of New Mexico. 129 tackles last year, 6.5 tackles for loss, 9.9 tackles per game. DB Elijah Palmer of Hawaii, he is back. He had 52 tackles, 12 passes deflected, 6.5 tackles for loss, and 2 interceptions. So that's your players to watch in this league. As far as the non-con games to make note of, week 0, this weekend, there's actually 3 of these. All of these are on Saturday. Memphis at UNLV. We'll pick that game on Thursday. Hawaii at Stanford. We'll pick that game on Thursday. Jacksonville State at North Dakota State. We'll pick that game on Thursday. And then September 5th, we've got Central Michigan and New Mexico. Colorado State at hosting Wyoming. Not a conference game anymore, obviously. But still, at least they're playing for the boot. And then Western Kentucky's at Nevada. Be careful, Hilltoppers. September 19th, we got Fresno State at San Jose State. Stinks that they're not in the same conference anymore, but is what it is. October 3rd, Navy at Air Force. Of course, who doesn't love the Commander-in-Chief games? Also, October 3rd, Cal at UNLV. I think Cal's going to be good, or better. But UNLV's still good. This game's in Vegas. Another chance for a G6 school to beat a P4 school. And then finally, November 7th, Air Force at Army. And then as far as the conference games to watch, I hope I don't overdid North Dakota State here, but I did put some of their games in here. September 12th, their first ever Mountain West Conference game, North Dakota State at Air Force. September 26th, Hawaii's at Wyoming. Hawaii, you're a contender in this league. Be careful up there in that altitude. October 3rd, Wyoming at North Dakota State. That just screams Midwest or Upper Midwest Mountain Men football. I cannot wait for that one. October 10th, if North Dakota State wants to get into the conference title race in year 1, here you go. They're at UNLV on October 10th. October 17th, UNLV at Air Force. October 24th, Air Force at Wyoming, and North Dakota State at New Mexico. That could be good. November 14th, here's a couple of games. UNLV at New Mexico, conference championship preview, more than likely, possibly. And then also North Dakota State again at Hawaii. And then the last game I put on here was November 28th, Nevada and UNLV, the battle for the cannon. Always fun between these two schools out west. They do not like each other. So that's conference games to watch. My 3 questions for the Mountain West as we enter this season. Question number 1. With so many departures, who takes control of this league? Who kind of takes over as the big dogs, as the top faces of this conference? Well, to me, it's a pretty easy choice for this one. UNLV, New Mexico, And I did put Hawaii, and I put Air Force. UNLV is probably the clearest, easiest one because you're in Las Vegas, you're in a big market. As long as Dan Mullen's there, he's going to get talent into Vegas, and UNLV is going to be competitive. They're going to be a force. Plenty of offensive firepower. Fan base has grown. There's a lot more support there. New Mexico, can they keep the momentum going off of year one with Jason Eck? Because if he has another really good year, I got a feeling the Power 4 schools are going to be calling him in Albuquerque and trying to lure him. So New Mexico better enjoy him while they got him. Hawaii, their coach, of course, played quarterback there. He's developed really good there. They've become a really good offensive team. Hawaii shouldn't go anywhere, but we'll see. And then Air Force, a consistent in the league, usually due for 10 wins every other year, it seems like. Troy Calhoun's been there like 20 years. He's done a great job. So that's the 4 teams that I look for to kind of take control of the league as the upper dogs, like Boise and Fresno and San Diego State had been. Okay, number 2. What does year one for North Dakota State bring? How do they fare? 3 of their top 5 tacklers are back on defense, 5 starters in general. A lot of new on the offense. And they also have to go to Air Force, UNLV, New Mexico, and Hawaii. That's going to be tough. 4 brutal road trips right there. But they have the talent. They've got the players. They've got everything they need to be competitive right out of the gate in year one. I do think they'll be competitive. I don't think they're going to win the league, but I do think North Dakota State will be impressive. Okay, my final question. I hate to pick on anybody, but I had to do it for at least one of these leagues. Number 3, who can escape the cellar of this conference? 2 of the 3 newbies are expected to be in the cellar. Is San Jose State going to be down there? They lose their stud quarterback and receivers from last year, so they're in a little bit of a rebuild. But Ken Niumatalolo cannot stand losing. Who does? He'll get San Jose State back on track, I think. The 2 I really look at, though, as far as the cellar, Northern Illinois, interim head coach, no returning starters on defense. New conference, probably going to be a rough year in DeKalb this year, especially since their head coach kind of left them at a weird time and kind of unsettled that program. But this is a chance for their interim head coach. Can he do something? We'll see. But I expect it to be a tough year at NIU. And then UTEP, there's some good. Their coach has done an all right job building, but he's still got a lot of work to do because UTEP, as we know, is a hard job. And plus, they play Oklahoma and Michigan in non-con. Whew. All right, let's go. Predictions for the Mountain West. Who's player of the year? I have settled with Jaden Thomas, the UNLV running back. I think he'll get over 1,000 yards. UNLV is going to be explosive and right, of course, in the thick of things. Surprise dark horse team. I don't think it's a dark horse, maybe as much, maybe a surprise, but I do think North Dakota State will be competitive in year one. I think they will finish in the top 5 in the conference. We'll just say that, top 5 in the standings. So North Dakota State's my dark horse. And then finally, who's going to win the championship? My pick to win the Mountain West, I am settling on UNLV over New Mexico in the championship game. I'm going to say New Mexico gets them in the regular season, but in the rematch, I think UNLV finds a way to win the Mountain West title. So give me UNLV to win the Mountain West. All right, 2 more. Can you believe the Pac-12 is back? The Pac-12 is back. Now, it's a G6 league. It's not the Pac-12 we all grew up with and enjoyed watching. But, hey, it's back at least. At least they're trying. Okay, so this preview is a little quicker. Of course, they didn't have a conference the last couple of years. Some players to watch in this league as they return. From Texas State, quarterback Brad Jackson. This dude is a baller. He is a playmaker. Threw for 3,224 yards, 21 touchdowns, only 7 picks, 71.3 completion percentage, while also rushing for 744 and 17 touchdowns. So he finished the year with close to 4,000 yards of offense last year and 38 touchdowns when they were in the Sun Belt. Can he translate all that playmaking ability to the Pac-12? Also in this league, the running back duo, Dylan Riley and Cyree Gaines of Boise State. They had over 1,100 yards. Let's see. Okay, so Dylan Riley, 1125, 10 touchdowns, 5.8 a carry. Sorry, Gaines, 811, 8 touchdowns, 5 yards a carry. So Boise, you're set at running back. Nice 1-2 punch. And then another 1-2 punch at wide receiver at Texas State. You've got Bo Sparks and you've got Chris Dawn. Sparks had 84 catches last year for 1,200 yards, right at 1,200 yards, 14.3 a catch, 10 touchdowns. And then Chris Dawn, 65 catches last year, over 1,000 yards, 15.5 a catch, and 4 touchdowns. So combined, that's 2,200 yards receiving, 14 touchdowns. Really good. Defensive line, Jaden Virgin Morgan of Boise State, really good player, NFL future, I think, to call him. 56 tackles last year, 13 for loss, and 6 sacks. And then linebacker, Bronson Olavo of Utah State, really good year last year. He had 7.5 tackles for loss, 90 tackles. 7.5 tackles per game, 90 tackles, 3.5 for loss, 7 QB hurries, and 4 sacks. And then finally, Delshawn Staley, a DB at San Diego State, had 142 tackles last year and 10 pass breakups for the Aztecs. So some really good players there. Key non-con games. I added a couple here since they didn't have a season last year. September 5th, Boise State's at Oregon. I don't think any of us expect Boise to beat Oregon. Like, if you do, you're crazy. But I do think that they could be competitive. Remember a couple years ago, they went up there and nearly beat them. Of course, they had Ashton Jenney. But Boise, Oregon. And remember, if Boise loses this game, they could run roughshod on everybody else, and they're 12-1. They're probably in the playoff. But anyway, September 12th, there is 5 games on here. Memphis at Boise State. That is going to be a G6 heavyweight fight. Cannot wait to see that. UTSA at Texas State, rivalry game. Texas Tech at Oregon State. That's going to be probably not pretty, but at least it sounds good. San Diego State, UCLA. UCLA, Power 4 school. Be careful against them Aztecs. And then also Washington State at Kansas State. Don't really know what to think of Kansas State. So Wazoo with Kirby Moore and pretty much a rebuilt roster. Be careful up there in Manhattan. September 19th, JMU, San Diego State. We talked about that one. September 26th, we've got, I don't know why I did not mention this on my Mac page, but I'll mention on my Mac preview, but I'll mention it here. September 26th, Boise State at Western Michigan. Another good G6 matchup. I don't think people realize how good Western Michigan can be. But anyway, Boise going up to Kalamazoo, that could be a under the radar game. Also that day, San Diego State, Toledo. Washington State at Arizona. Arizona, maybe a Big 12 dark horse. Maybe Arizona beats them by 40. I don't know. And then finally, Colorado State at UTSA is on here. Okay, so obviously with this Pac-12 not playing the last couple of years, these conference games were kind of hard to pick out, but I did pick a little list. So here we go. October 3rd, Texas State at San Diego State. October 10th, Boise State at Fresno State. That's probably going to be a big one. October 17th, Washington State and Oregon State. I don't expect either of these teams to contend for the conference, but at least it's a legitimate Pac-12 game again. Fresno State at San Diego State. Nice rivalry. October 24th, Boise State at Washington State. I don't know why, but for some reason it feels good seeing that those two are going to play each other every year now. Weird, I know. October 31st, Texas State at Boise State. If Boise's defense has an off day, that could be a shootout. November 7th, Fresno State at Utah State. Be careful up there, Bulldogs, up there in Logan. November 14th, Fresno State at Texas State. I think that could be a fun game. November 21st, Washington State at Texas State. San Diego State at Boise State. That could be a big one. November 28th is what they call flex games. They've assigned a flex games that do not count in the conference standings. I think the intended purpose was to help with the playoff if there's a chance for a playoff spot for this conference. Currently, those games are, let's see, we've got Fresno State, San Diego State, except this time it is at Fresno, San Diego State at Fresno. Texas State, Colorado State, Utah State, Boise State, and Oregon State at Washington State. So that's the flex games for right now. But those are subject to change, from what I understand. Okay, 3 questions about the Pac-12 and their relaunch. Number 1, does Boise State have a challenger? Probably Fresno State. Solid pieces are back on this roster. They have good running backs, good DBs. Quarterback's not bad. So probably Fresno. Can San Diego State challenge? A veteran quarterback, nice skill players. Can they? We'll see. And then Texas State. This one might sound a little humorous because of the defense, but their offense is super explosive. Their offense is going to keep them in a lot of games. Number 2, can the new Pac-12 beat a Power 4 opponent? There are some, I've put 4 games down, potential opportunities, but I did put maybe a highly unlikely. September 4th, a Friday night game, USC is hosting Fresno State. If USC loses this game, Lincoln Riley's in trouble. Next day, we just talked about this one, Boise State at Oregon, September 12th. San Diego State, UCLA. If things are struggling for Bob Chesney's crew early, be careful. And then also Washington State at Kansas State. A lot of new at K-State as well, other than the quarterback. And then finally, question number 3. How talented is Boise State? Veteran quarterback, 1-2 punch at running back, 3 returning O-linemen, 6 defensive starters back. I think they're going to be a lot better than they were last year. Some good opportunities with Oregon, Memphis, and Western Michigan in that non-con slate. I think they're definitely the best team. But can they be challenged? Absolutely. All right, predictions. Player of the year. Give me Dylan Riley, the Boise State running back. I think he runs for more yards, and I think he will be a very, very good back again. So give me Dylan Riley of Boise for player of the year. Dark horse sleeper team. I'm going to use a little different analogy for this one. We're going to call it my wild card team, and that's Texas State because of the offense alone. They're going to be tough. Plus, they get Fresno State at home. So, but with that said, my championship game, I'm going to go with Boise State to beat Fresno State. So Boise versus Fresno in the Pac-12 championship. Seems so weird saying that, but give me Boise State to win it. So that's Boise State. Okay, last one. Let's take a look. Oh, we got to do UConn too. I'm sorry. I tell you what, before we do the American, let's go to UConn, the independent of the G6. They're the only independent not named Notre Dame. Last year they had a really good year under Jim Moore Jr. They went 9-4, lost their bowl game. They played Army in the Fenway Bowl, losing to Army. Not very many returning players on this roster, especially with the new coach and everything. But they do have these 2 back. Receiver Shamar Porter came back, 234 yards last year, caught a touchdown. And on the offensive line, guard Ty Chan decided to stay. He started 9 games for them last year. Some new guys to watch for Jason Candle, who's the new head coach here. He comes from Toledo, where he had a lot of success. Let's see. Kenji Christian, a running back, a Toledo transfer, ran for 528, 5 touchdowns, 193 receiving. Trey Carness, he's a transfer from Central Michigan. We had 479. And then a couple of more Toledo transfers. Nose tackle is Sean Carter. He had 36 tackles, 3 sacks. He was a first-team MAC selection last year as he comes to UConn. And then also linebacker Kavon Sherman. He comes from Toledo, too, where he was a first-team MACer with 4.5 sacks, 93 tackles, and 10 tackles for loss. Okay, so real quick, the schedule. I actually got their whole schedule on here. So I'll try to run through these as quick as I can. They'll open with Lafayette. Then they've got Maryland coming in, a P4 school coming in there. Potential. At Southern Miss. At Miami, Ohio. I'm giving them a loss there because the Red Hawks defense is so good. Syracuse is at home. Even though I don't think UConn's going to be that good this year, Syracuse is a good chance to win you a Power 4 game. Or Syracuse might kill them. Who knows? At Temple, don't like your shot there. Then your bye week. Friday night game against UMass. I think they win that game. At Air Force, I'm giving you a loss there. North Carolina. Is Belichick gone by then? Is Belichick gone? I do think North Carolina will be somewhat better, but I think good enough to beat UConn anyways. JMU and then Old Dominion. So 2 Sun Belt teams back-to-back weeks. I think they're going to get one of those, and then they go to Wyoming to close out. So 3 questions. Number 1, Maryland, Syracuse, and North Carolina all come there this year. Can UConn beat a Power 4 school still? Albeit maybe a bad one. Of course, some people think Maryland's going to be a lot better. Very possible. But could they win one of those 3? Likely. Possibly. Number 2, how much of a drop-off do you go from back-to-back 9-win seasons? Probably high. A rebuilt team, their offensive rooms are all brand new pretty much except one receiver. But running back, quarterback, rebuilt, brand new. And on defense, the top 16 tacklers left this program. So there is a lot of new for the Huskies entering this season. And then finally, number 3, what is the expectation for year 1 for Jason Candle after so much success at Toledo, and now he's at an independent who's facing struggles. He's at a basketball school. I don't know what their NIL is like, obviously, with football, but it's UConn. Basketball is always going to be first at UConn. Football is kind of an afterthought. But they have put money in to make the program better. Their facilities are a lot better. You can go find them. UConn's improved, but still a little ways to go. But what is a reasonable expectation? 4, 5 wins? And as far as prediction with the schedule, I'm going to predict UConn to go by a final tally of 4-8. I'm going to put them at 4-8 for year 1. Not a comfortable conversation, but just going to be real. So give me UConn for 4-8 for 2026. All right, final conference, the American. Let's take a look at the AAC. So 2025, really good year for the league. Tulane beat North Texas in the championship game. Eric Morris of North Texas was your coach of the year. Of course, he's gone to Oklahoma State. Player of the year, offensive, was the QB Drew Mestemaker at North Texas. As you all know by now, he's moved on to Oklahoma State also. Their defensive player of the year was Landon Robertson, defensive tackle at Navy. He had a really good year. Postseason, they had 8 teams. One of them went to the playoff. Tulane, of course, went to the college football playoff. The other 7 went to bowl games. Solid postseason. They finished 5-3 in the postseason. Tulane, of course, lost the first round of the playoff. They played at Ole Miss. Navy won the Liberty Bowl. North Texas would win the New Mexico Bowl. East Carolina won the Military Bowl. South Florida lost the Cure Bowl. Army won the Fenway Bowl. Memphis lost the Gasparilla Bowl. And UTSA would win the First Responder Bowl for a 5-3 postseason record. Returning players to watch. Quarterback Owen McCown of UTSA. Seems like he's been there 7 years, or 10 years, or 20 years. Threw for 2,995 yards, 30 touchdowns, 7 picks, 67.6 completion percentage. Another quarterback I made note of is an Army Kel Helms. He ran for 1,223 and 18 touchdowns while passing for 694 and 4 scores. So he pretty much brings about 1,900 yards of offense and 22 touchdowns with his triple option abilities. Running back Will Henderson out of UTSA, 866, 6 touchdowns, 6.9 per carry. Wide receiver Easton Messer out of Florida Atlantic. He had 100 catches last year, 104 actually. Over 1,000 yards, 10.1 a catch, 6 touchdowns. Linebacker Leon Hart of FAU, 96 tackles, 8.7 tackles a game, 4.5 tackles for loss. Defensive line Jack Basson from Army. He had 29 tackles last year, 4.5 sacks, 3.5 tackles for loss, and 5 QB hits. Appreciate those y'all who checked me out and watched me today. I know numbers aren't as good. Again, we're sorry for the delay, but the breaking news about Dolly Parton was kind of sad. But be sure to like and subscribe. 4th and 25 YouTube channel. We're trying to take off here as a community. We greatly appreciate it. Jack Bossum, D lineman at Army. We talked about him. And also Elijah Green. He's a cornerback out of Tulsa. He had a really good year last year. 59 tackles, 7 pass breakups, 5 interceptions. Okay. Some non-con games in this league. We just talked about this one coming up this coming Saturday. Memphis at UNLV. September 5th, you got Tulane at Duke. Good chance to beat a P4 school. September 12th, UTSA at Texas State. Appalachian State, East Carolina. Nice little battle there. Memphis, Boise State. As one person told me, that one might feed families. September 19th, East Carolina at Old Dominion. Temple at Toledo. Those could be good. October 3rd, Navy at Air Force. That will be good. And then Army at Louisiana Tech is also that day. And then finally, November 7th, Air Force and Army. Who doesn't love the Commander-in-Chief trophy games? Okay, and then as far as some conference games to make note of, how about September 12th, week 2, right out of the gate? South Florida is at Army. Sneaky good game. September 25th, Army is at Temple on a Friday afternoon. October 8th, Thursday night game, USF and Navy. October 10th, Tulane at Army. October 16th, Memphis at Tulane. I think that's a Friday game. The very next day, Navy at UTSA. Championship preview. October 22nd, East Carolina at Memphis. The 24th, we got UTSA at Tulane. Could be a good one. October 31st, Army at Memphis. November 6th, South Florida's at East Carolina. The 21st, you got Memphis at Navy. Could be good. East Carolina at Army also that day. And then on Black Friday, Tulane at South Florida. That is November 27th. All right. 3 questions for the AAC. Number 1, how will all the new head coaches do? There's 5 coaches in this league. Now, one of them was an interim last year, so he's already coached a little bit, but I did make note of him. But here's your new head coaches in this league. UAB, of course, Alex Mortensen. He was the interim last year, going 2-4 after Trent Dilfer was fired. He brings in lots of transfers and some very much needed NIL support. UAB, from what I've gathered, was struggling really bad with NIL, but it sounds like they've gotten a little bit better help. North Texas, obviously, they bring in former West Virginia head coach Neil Brown. He has Texas ties, looking for a career resurgence. His running back, Jaheim White, who was with them at West Virginia, somebody to keep an eye on. But the main 3, South Florida, obviously Brian Hartline's the new head coach. He comes from Ohio State. First-time head coach, as he was OC for the Buckeyes. Great resources, great talent pool. He could definitely turn USF into a winner quick, which they were solid last year, but he could keep it going and maybe even take them to the next level. Memphis, Charles Hall obviously comes from Southern Miss after 1 year in Hattiesburg. He brings a lot of guys with him. I don't know the exact number, but I know it was double digits. He brought a lot of players from Southern Miss with him as he looks to build Memphis up, and I think he'll do a good job. And then finally, which, and by the way, Charles Hall's the Lane Kiffin of G6. Just look what happened with him in Marshall, now at Southern Miss, and now at Memphis. Just look at his resume. He's the G6 Lane Kiffin. Anyway, and then finally, Tulane. John Summerall, of course, has gone to Florida. New head coach is Will Hall, who was on the staff last year, who's been a coach, albeit it was at Southern Miss, and he struggled there. So I'm a little shaky on Will Hall, but we'll see. He's at a really good G6 program that he knows well. He was there last year on staff. And Tulane's got one of the best NILs in the G6, so he's in a good position. Question number 2. Top part of this league, how many contenders does this league actually have? They've got some good teams. You've got Navy, you got UTSA, both look talented. Memphis, obviously the big question, does all the transfers gel quickly? Army, do they get back towards the top? They have the talent too. South Florida, new coach, several new guys there, but resources needed, could get good quick. And then also East Carolina, there's some good pieces back there, but they do have a new quarterback. So there's about 7 teams that I see realistically could compete in this conference. And finally, question number 3, chances to beat a Power 4 school also here. This first one is probably going to be the best one. September 5th is Tulane at Duke. Duke is down. They lost Aaron Mensah. They lost some guys. Marquette, maybe Tulane gets them, maybe they don't. Also, that day I did put Oklahoma State at Tulsa. Remember, Tulsa beat Oklahoma State last year, and it kind of led to Mike Gundy's firing. But I think Oklahoma State's going to be ready for him this time. September 19th, UTSA is at Texas. Texas will not lose this game. I'll say it now. But would not be shocked if UTSA gives them a little bit of a test. Because remember, Texas is going to be coming off the Ohio State game. So they could be in a little bit of a letdown mode. So just saying. Also that day, Tulane at Kansas State. And then September 26th, Tulsa's at Arkansas. Y'all know how bad Arkansas fell last year, and they're in a major rebuild. So be careful. Be careful up there, Razorbacks. Tulsa's going to come in with eyes on upset. All right, and then finally, let's do our predictions. Player of the year in this conference. I'm going to go with Will Henderson, running back, UTSA. I think he has a really big year and puts up good numbers. A sleeper dark horse team. Not necessarily a team I think that's going to compete to win the conference, but I do think they're going to get to a bowl game, and that's Tulsa. Veteran QB, veteran O-line, 8 starters back on defense, really stingy secondary. The only negative that worries me about them, they have to go to Navy, UTSA, and Tulane, 3 of the best teams in the league. But don't mean they can't win. So I like Tulsa. I like Tulsa to have a much better year. They're my sleeper dark horse team. And then finally, who do I like to win the conference? Give me Navy over UTSA in the championship game. I think Navy's going to capitalize. They're super talented. I like what they've gotten better on defense. Their offense is obviously tough to stop too. So give me the Navy midshipmen to beat the UTSA Roadrunners and win the AAC. All right. So that is all of our previews and predictions. Let's take a quick break, and we come back. We're going to close out. See you guys in a minute. See y'all here in just a second.
Look at me, you're lost at sea, circling eternally. Come and help me from this insanity. Where am I disgraced? I hate to see your face. I wanna see you drown in your sorrow. You know I know not the same. I'm fading away. I'm falling into my grave.
All right, guys, welcome back to 4th and 25. As we close out, thank y'all for checking me out. One final time, here is our, well, where'd my graphic go? All right, let's try this again. All right, I hope y'all can hear me all right. All right, so one final time before we go, I'm going to give you my G6 conference champions. I already did them, but we'll do them one more time. Let's do, all right, dark horse sleeper teams. I can't get the graphic up, but I ain't worried about it. Sleeper teams. Conference USA, give me Delaware. The MAC, give me Eastern Michigan. Sun Belt, give me Louisiana Tech. Pac-12, give me Texas State. American, give me Tulsa. And I just had a brain fart. Who am I forgetting? Oh, Mountain West, North Dakota State. Okay, championships. Picks to win the conferences. Conference USA, I got Western Kentucky. MAC, I've got Western Michigan. Mountain West, I've got UNLV. Sun Belt, I've got UL Lafayette. Pac-12, Boise State. And then from the American, I got Navy. All right, so that leaves one final question. Who do I think is going to be the G6 champion that goes to the college football playoff? So I've seen other people predicting, the legitimate experts, with like Boise, Navy, UTSA, New Mexico. I've heard North Dakota State. Some really good teams. I feel a little bit like taking a shot here, taking a off-the-wall chance here. So I have settled with Western Michigan. They have Michigan in week 1. Don't think they're going to win that game. But the rest of their schedule is very, very manageable for an opportunity to get there at 11-1. And then if you win the MAC championship, you're 12-1. You got a good shot to be in the playoff. So here's Western Michigan's schedule. At Michigan, loss. But then you got Monmouth at Rice. That's 2 games you should win. Boise's a huge game, obviously, at home. I think they're going to get Boise. And then your conference slate at Buffalo, Kent State. You should win those. I think Kent State's going to be better, but you should win those. At Central Michigan and at Toledo back-to-back weeks. That's going to be some tough road games. But I think they're better. And Toledo's in a big rebuild. Bowling Green at home, a bye, and then at Akron, Eastern Michigan. You should win those. And then you close out with Miami, Ohio. And you very well could see them the very next week in the championship. So, anyway, that's who I like. I like Western Michigan to make the college football playoff as the G6 representative in 2026. Guys, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for checking me out. Be sure to like and subscribe 4th and 25 on YouTube. We'll be back on Thursday with our Power 4 preview show. We'll do the Power 4 conferences, predictions, and we're going to lay it all out there. I'm going to give you my preseason top 25, my college football playoff bracket, and predictions. And also, breaking news, I'm going to have my first guest. There was only one man who was good for this spot. My first guest on Thursday will be Andrew Anderson, of course, College Sports Villains of this network. The guy who recruited me like a madman to have a show on here. But no, we're going to have Andrew on. We're going to have a good time. He'll be on as our guest. And we'll have some fun and talk some ball. All right, guys. Psalm 100, verse 5. For the Lord is good. His mercy is everlasting. Yes. And his truth endureth to all generations. Truth shall reign supreme forever. He is so good. His mercy is everlasting. I love that. I love that verse. All right, guys. Obviously, our hearts are a little heavy right now with the passing of Dolly Parton, so we'll keep her family in our thoughts and prayers. May she rest in peace. An American icon, one of the greatest, a country music legend. So many people love Dolly, and she was such a sweetheart. It was so cool to see her every time. She was a national treasure. And hate to end the show on a somber note, but obviously we're kind of all a little bit trying to process this. Appreciate you guys. Thank y'all so much. We'll be back on Thursday. Sorry for the late start time. I was going to start at 12 due to some stuff, but I had to catch a little sleep. So we'll shoot for 1 o'clock on Thursday. Andrew's going to be on with me. Going to be a lot of fun, guys. We're almost there. 4 days and college FBS football is back. We actually have games Thursday and Friday at the FCS, but we're almost there, baby. Appreciate y'all. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay safe. Rest in peace, Dolly. We love y'all. God bless.